Hello guys, good day. Trust you guys are doing very fine. So quickly, I just want us to just kind of run in together to see how we can actually create our URI to which we are going to be using to save or perhaps of course save data and all that. So we're going to be using MongoDB. First and first, like I said in the previous class, before we had that glitch, you have to go and install MongoDB compacts, right? So go to MongoDB compacts, and then you just follow the instruction and then download the MongoDB compacts. And once that is done, you will have an interface that looks like this. You will have an interface that looks like this. So let me just kind of disconnect because it is already connected. So you have an interface that looks like this. So this actually gives you access to interact with data in your database on your local machine. Hence, it will require you to kind of log into the system or perhaps on the internet to your Atlas to interact with your data that you have pushed into the database, right? Yes. So I haven't done that. I haven't installed. The next thing is for us to go and create our URI and all that. So if you have not created your MongoDB account, of course it is required for you to have your own personal account so that you can be using to just run some of the integration you're going to be doing with your cloud service, right? So if you have not, you can just click on the sign up and then choose either of the authentication method you want to use. Either you'll have to go through that of email and first name, last name, and then inputting your password, or you make use of Google authentication or GitHub authentication. So whichever is suitable for you, whichever you think is convenient for you, you can make use of that to create your account. But for me, I don't no need for me to create an account. I already have an account, so I will make use of the Google's sign-in authentication sign-in to sign into my account. So I have an account with Ojima Ironata with email aohorizon@gmail.com. So I will log in into my console. So once you log in into your console, or once you have created an account, you have an interface, of course, like this, but then on the internet. So so far these are projects that I've worked on, that are deployed and that are in my MongoDB Atlas, and of course I can access those the datas using the MongoDB compacts, which I've installed. But then I'll need the URI to actually interact with the data. Either I want to do a post request, put request, get request, patch, or delete any of the data. Right? Yes. So we'll go on to create a new project. So we'll click on creating a new project, and then we'll give the project a name. So I'll call it pass now. You can call it any name you want to call it, and then we'll pick an environment for the tag. So and the environment we are going to pick is going to be I'm going to make use of staging. And why am I picking staging? Now if you check in the values for the environment, we have different environments that are there. We have the test, the staging, production, and development. Now these environments are the different stages of development. And what that means is that the first interface, the first strata or first step when deploying is usually the test, where you just try to test run what you're actually working on the server side, in our case now that you're actually working on. And after that, you push the work into development environment, and then from development environment to staging. and then from staging to production. So the staging environment basically is seen to be the stable version of the application you're working on, right? So that whatever you now push to production is now the much more functioning application that users tend to interact with. Now, in this case, I'm talking with regards to the server side application, right? So I'm going to just choose. Of course, you can choose any of those. And then for me, I will just pick staging, of course, and all that. So, and then I'll click on next. So again, I'll create project. Click on this create project since I'm the project owner here because this is my account. And then the next thing, once it's done creating a project, it's for me to wait for it a little bit, and then I'll create a deployment. So I'll click on the create deployment here, and then wait for it, and then I'll be prompted, of course, saying that we have the M10, the serverless, and the M0. So since it's a free, of course, I'm not paying. Since I'm just trying to test run and then just make use of one or two things on the architecture. Now, if you check the difference between this and that is the fact that the storage space, the RAM, and the vCPU varies and all that. For instance, you see 10 gig, you see up to 1 terabyte, and then you see 512 megabytes. So when we are picking or trying to choose this particular free version, or of course free tier, what that means is that we are having to just deal with a 512 storage, which of course if you're trying to test run some things is much more sufficient enough to do a lot of things and all that. Yeah, and then the RAM is shared, means there are a lot of persons on using that particular RAM and all that. So we can choose, we can leave the cluster name to be like that, but then I usually like to change the cluster name, so I'll call it pass now. Yes, call it pass now, and then I'll leave it to the default provider, right? And then of course the region, so I'll leave it as the default Spain, and of course, so okay, yes. Any other thing that I'm missing out? Let me quickly check. At the moment, I believe everything is okay. Yeah, everything is okay and sound. So seeing that everything is okay. Okay. Nothing else to add. We already created our tag initially, which is also the application and development, and then the environment, of course. So we've done that. So the next thing is that sorry, I just want to move this, drag this up a little bit. So I will go to advanced configuration or create deployment, any of those. So I'll just create deployment, and then okay, I think there was some errors or misunderstanding because I meant to choose the M10 cluster, and that's why it's referring me to actually pay, because it's going to be like 0.09 dollars per hour. So I'll just go back a little bit, and then once I'm there, okay, once I'm in, I'll pick the free tier, right? Yes, I'll pick the free tier, and then I have my region reset again to what it is and all that. So okay, I'll change the cluster name again, like I said, to pass now, right? So automate security setup, add sample data set. Yes, of course, this sample data set, you'll see it for instance when we try to run it on the URI in our compacts. Yeah, so nothing much. Okay, we'll just create deployment, or we could just go to advanced configuration just to do some setup, but then I'll just create deployment from here, and then the other advanced configuration is something I can do. So we'll just wait for it to load up and all that. So at this point, first thing to note is that it just added a connection IP address, which means it picked my IP address. Of course, I can tell you it's subject to change, so there's no need to copy this. So it just copied my IP address, and what this means is that as long as the server side or this database is created, I'm the only person that will be having access to read and write or do other things into the database and all that, into and outside the database, and also some information touching the username and the password. Now this is an auto-generated password, and you're expected not to forget the password. Hence, because of course, for me, I usually like to change the password so that even when I forget, I'll be able to interact with. So I will call it personal 123 at, right? So of course, I will just copy the data, and then I'll just put it somewhere in my document. I'll just paste it here, right as the password, and then here is the username. So I also pick it up and then have it pasted here and all that. So once that is done, I could now go forward to choose a connection. So I will choose a connection. Okay. It says set up user security connection below. Okay, there's a step that I'm kind of missing, so I need to create a database user. It means this username and password needs to be created. Once it's done, then I can now go ahead to choose a connection method. So once that is done, now you are being served with an interface or a modal, sorry, not a model, a modal in front end. They call this modal to choose where you actually want to connect the URI that is going to be generated, either in your drivers or of course in your Node.js, Golang, etc. in the drivers, right? Or you want to access that in the through Data Explorer, Compact, Shell, and all that. So, but then for us, we are going to make use of Compacts, which in the intro part of the video I said you should have it installed. So I'm going to click this, and so there's a question: if I don't have MongoDB installed, of course it will also lead you to install it, and if you have, it will just kind of course you can click it to check what that means. So that's just all about that. So you can actually download the compacts and all the URL just to install the compacts if you have not installed the compacts yet at this point, right? So but then you can also actually go to the MongoDB website, the MongoDB compacts website, and then have it installed. So having done that, the next thing to do is that it has already automatically generated the URI. Now this is the URI that is unique to the database that we're going to be using. Of course, it has the username and also the password. Usually if you skip this particular step, you will see, or of course one of the things you come and see is that the password will not be populated for you. It means that the password that I had to copy and paste the other time will be what I'm going to use to put in. So what I will just do, of course, is to copy this guy and then take it to my notepad, or on my, call it mouse pad here on Linux, and then of course I have that put there, and I'm going to use later. So once that is done, I just review my setup and then check again that everything is in line. Now of course, remember what I was saying. So now once you're trying to review, they have already taken out the password, where you have to put in the password in order to access the URI later that you want to do that. So basically that's all about that. So I'll click on done, and boom, our database is already created. So there is nothing much more to do again, because it has been worked upon for us. So that's just that. Well, there's nothing much. I'm just trying to go through the prompts that I saw. So that's just that. I'll go back to where it is. So now I'm going to open my compacts, and then I'll click on new connection, and then of course I'll remove this string and then paste what was generated, right? And I will hit of course, depending on the interface or the kind of interface that you have. So for me, I'll click on, okay, let's say save and connect. Of course, I'll need to choose colors that I will just need to just identify. So maybe I'll just pick is there any colors not used? Maybe let's see, I'll pick this color if I must use it, and then I'll call it pass now. So of course to identify anytime. So I'll click it and save. So I'm waiting for it to connect. So boom, it has connected. We already have our database, and of course we have not imputed, but then you can check in the sample data. These are the sample details that we kind of it was automatically checked when we were creating the account and all that. So you can just click on users. This is how a typical user account looks like. You see the name, the email, and the password. So when you're trying to create an account, let's say for a user who comes in and then wants to sign up to the platform, this is how it looks like, where you have the name, you have the email and password, of course, the typical data that you usually will request from a user. And this is how it's being saved. And this is just a sample of how the data looks like, right? Yeah, so if you notice, the password is a bunch of gibberish. Why? Because it has been hashed. Hashing means your ability to kind of encrypt a password or encrypt the data, and of course this could just be, let's say, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. It could be anything, could be any value, any alphabet and all that. But once it's hashed, we are, of course, in the database, we have to save the hash, and anytime we want to authenticate the user, maybe the user wants to log in, we'll pull this guy and then do what we call decryption. So we decrypt, right? So if you have noticed, I've made use of two words, encryption and decryption. So encryption is the process of trying to hide information, and decryption is trying to decrypt the hidden information and get the information from it. So at this moment it has been encrypted, but then we're going to encrypt it and decrypt it, sorry, in order to validate and know that, okay, that this guy who is actually trying to log in, his name is NetShark and has an email, seanbean@gmail of, okay, so you can just check in how comments are made and all that. But then these are basic things that we were going to create. We are going to, of course, lay live data in the next class. See you soon. So with this, you're able to create your database. Of course, you're going to create a database and have it deployed, and also and interact with it on your local. Now, what this basically means is that either you want to create an operation here, or you create an operation on the internet, I mean on the web version. I mean, to see, it will still give you the same thing, the same field. How it will still give you the same field. So if you just want to, you could just browse collections. You just go to browse collections, and of course you will see the collections that you have. If you notice, this way the similar sample data that we have. Of course, when you check on the users, you will see the same NetShark and then seanbean at Game of Thrones whatever it is, and then the password and the sample data like that. So of course, whatever you do here affects what is in the whatever you do here, of course, affects what you will have to see also in the compass. So that's just that about that. Thank you. See you in the next section.